is Penn Jillette in Las Vegas, Nevada, sitting here with Michael Goudeau.
It's another beautiful day.
A beautiful day. And, you know, we've had a lot of aristocrats on the Big Penn Jillette show. Had Louis Black, Lisa Lampanelli a couple times, Harry Mandel, Merrill Marco, David Brenner, Wendy Liebman, Gilbert Gottfried a few times, Paul Provenza, Bobby Slayton, Carrot Top, Trey Parker, Drew Carey, Bob Saget, Phyllis Diller, The Passing Zone, and now we have
at the end of the list
the man who closes. You're the closer. No, you're not the actual closer. It's Jon Stewart. That's the final moment in the Aristocrats.
I just saw the full length DVD, like the blooper reel or whatever it is at the end.
But it's Doug Stanhope who's telling the joke with to a child.
To a child
that we're supposed to assume is your child, but is not.
Yeah, I get a lot of emails about that.
It was a rental.
All the stuff. Yeah, because I think every CD I put out has some anti-baby stuff on it, so I look like a huge hypocrite to people. Is that your baby? No, it's a rental.
What is your anti-baby stuff? I have two myself.
I have a huge rant against overpopulation and.
Now, what, you think overpopulation is a problem?
Oh yeah.
There's no evidence of that.
Well, it's a problem to me. I just don't like people.
Okay, well, that's a whole different thing. I thought you were going into environmental thing.
No, I don't care about the environment whatsoever. That's not my problem. I didn't make the place. I lived in Vegas in '86. You've been here for, there's too many people around.
Where are you from?
Massachusetts originally, but
oh, really? Yeah, me too. Yeah.
I've lived in the desert most of my adult life just to get away from people. I live in a town of 6,000 people.
We're like in Arizona or something.
Bisbee, Arizona. It's on the Mexican border.
And you don't like being around people at all?
I don't like crowds. I get claustrophobic. That's why I go. We just got done a month in Scotland and England and. It's just, the towns are, even without the people, those towns are built for, a donkey and a cart. And now you get 2 lanes of traffic and the sidewalks, you're just always rubbing shoulders with people. I'm not like a germaphobe or anything like that. It's not like people touching me. Don't touch me. Are you one of those hand cleaner guys?
No, I'm not a hand cleaner guy. I'm not one of those Howie
I just don't like people around me that much. Vegas used to be great. I loved it here. But now you come here and it's depressing.
Too many people.
Too many people. Too much traffic.
But in your town of 6,000, you're happy? What do you get, a house out in the...
I get a small house. I call it. I used to call it the compound till I saw this place. Now I call it the safe house.
Yeah. When there's a violent overthrow of the United States government, you're going to want to get your ass here.
Exactly.
You're going to want to get here. We have gun turrets and everything.
Oh, I'm at the Mexican border for that reason, so I can go south while they're coming north. Once FEMA starts putting people in camps for real and not just Hurricane Katrina practice runs,
you'll be running across the border.
All those Mexicans left an empty place when they came here. I'll just trade out.
Now, you going to run for president? Are you running for president now?
Technically, I'm saying no, just because it saves you a lot of hassles. Once you officially announce that you are, then you're open to a lot of FEC garbage that I don't want to deal with yet. So right now, I'm wink, wink, nudge, nudge, considering, but... That's yes, basically.
You're looking into this a lot, right?
Yeah.
I think there are going to be crowds. If you win, this is going to turn ugly.
Yeah. I don't have to shake hands with all of them. I can do a lot of it on the internet. That makes me crazy that all the technology that we have that no one uses. Okay, we have cell phones and instant messenger. Why do I have to fly to L.A. for a meeting? Just use email me. I'll go, I like the idea or I don't.
But they make you fly in. But if you're auditioning for something to do a show on the air, they want to get a sense of what you'll be like to work with.
Yeah, an audition, but just basic stuff where it's just some pointless, it's a general meeting, VH1 just wants to see what your ideas are. Well, have them call me. I gotta fly, I gotta drive 100 miles to Tucson and fly and sit in LA traffic to do this.
You have to drive 200 miles to get to an airport?
100 miles to Tucson, yeah.
You have to drive 100 miles to get to an airport?
Right.
So it takes the same amount of time as New York.
And you're living 100 miles from an airport?
But I tour in chunks.
Let me just phrase this question properly. What the hell kind of idiot are you? That's a proper question.
When I tour in major chunks, where I was just out for 2 straight months and then get home for a week. I'll be out for 3 weeks and get home for a couple months. And we're going to move to Austin come 2007 for the run. I just don't have the resources there to be able to pull off a presidential run.
Now, were you watching Kinky Friedman's
Well, I've been out of the country a lot. They follow it very closely.
So you'll be
I read a lot of articles.
You'll be very good with foreign policy because you're out of the country so much, right? You know what it's like?
Yeah, exactly. I know how much we're hated and why.
How much are we hated and why?
Well, in general terms, yeah, quite a bit. And I mean, I understand. Americans are really, really obnoxious to generalize when they go overseas. Busloads of fat Iowa tourists complaining about they can't get a good ham sandwich, and I'm turning into one of them. I realize when I go over there, like I'm such a creature of habit now. I barely eat, and you go over there and everything's awful. Nothing has flavor, and they don't tip, so the service is always terrible. And yeah, it gets to a point where I turn into the ugly American. Like, I just want to go home.
That's exactly my point. I used to think that people overseas, travelers, American travelers over in other countries were really rude and awful. And then I went to other countries and I really understood why. There's also this feeling, they would always talk about Americans being so boisterous and loud. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think there's something delightful in having all that energy. Man, when we were touring, I was touring with a band called The Residents,
Right.
And we were touring like around Germany and stuff. And you'd go and load in, and even your road crews were like depressing and quiet.
Yeah, they are morose people.
Yeah, and I just thought, what's wrong with being fat people from Iowa screaming and yelling? I mean, that's kind of good. I mean, if you gave me a choice between being around a bunch of phony Camus people walking around brooding, smoking, Gauloises and Iowa
depends
guys
on the
eating
situation.
sandwiches. Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it depends on the situation. But you can see in a general basis. And again, like anyone else, they will, just the same way over here, you get those meathead redneck, screw the French. If we had to save their ass in 2 worlds, like generalizing an entire country.
But what is it true about that?
What isn't true?
About screw the French, we're going to save their ass in 2 world wars.
Because we didn't do squat. We were on stage hanging out and trying to get laid. We weren't garroting Krauts in the trenches at Verdun.
I guess you're right.
That's pretty technical. That's pretty technical.
Yeah, pretty technical. We weren't doing that. So if you were, and you're going to run for, you are not running now, but if you do decide to run,
when I decide to run,
what's going to be? I mean, how serious are you going to be?
I'm going to be very serious.
Where are you going to be between?
I'm not going to try to be unfunny about it. I still will be funny about it. That's what I do. No matter what I was doing, I would be funny, but it's not going to be a joke campaign.
Are you going to try for any sort of? Going to be like a libertarian or something, or?
Yeah, we're running libertarian.
You're running libertarian,
definitely. It's the only way. It could be taken seriously whatsoever.
And what is going to be some of your? Because you talked to me about this like a year and a half ago.
I'm sure I'm not the only guy. You probably get calls daily to run.
Yeah, and people were writing me in. But you were talking to me about you wanted to do this thing with tying in porno, right? Are you going to do that?
Yeah, that's something I didn't want to bring up on the air.
You didn't? Is that going to be a surprise?
Yeah, well, what we talked about,
Okay. There's nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
What I was talking about
but that was one of the, that's why I called you and go, we got a lot of great ideas for, offbeat ways to publicize the campaign.
But as opposed to just your PR ways of doing it, what are your ideas for? I mean, libertarian, I know what that means, but what's going to be the real platform stuff?
Well, obviously drug war, but not just that. I don't know. That's
going to be the campaign slogan? Doug Stanhope.
That's why I haven't been talking about it. I want to know what I'm saying.
I don't know.
Drug war out of Iraq. But a day, February 12th, February 27th, we will be out of Iraq. That's it.
Now, what do you think about when people of other cultures want to kill us, like Muslims?
Like terrorists?
If they want us dead, yeah. What do we do about that?
Well, don't be a target. I think that's the most logical. Don't be a target for terrorism. Let's have foreign policy.
Be like Japan.
Like Japan.
Like, buy their oil. They buy, Japan is as hated as we are in terms of what they believe,
Well, that's because they have lousy porn.
Yeah, exactly. But they are, to a strict Muslim, Japan is as bad as the U.S. But we're not as bad. They don't get terrorists.
Yeah, they don't have the foreign policy.
Because they just buy the oil and shut up.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's no sort of foreign policy.
They're not jealous of our freedom. In Amsterdam, there's nothing blowing up in Amsterdam.